We continue with the prophetic, beautiful chapters of the second half of the book of Yeshayah today, chapter 42, Parak Mem Bet. And towards the end of the last parak, we talked about a servant of God would send. And according to many of the commentators, we pointed out that it was understood as being Koresh, as being Cyrus, who gave the Jews permission to rebuild the temple in the year approximately 538. And thus some of the commentaries believe that this is the person first introduced here at the beginning of 42. Hein avdi etmach bo, b'chiri ratzta nafshi natati ruchi alav mishpat lagoyim yotzi. This is my servant who I hold up, my chosen one who I delight. I've put my spirit upon him. He shall teach the true ways to the nations. Others say it's not Koresh, but it's there are those who say it's Yeshayah. Later, a number of chapters from now, he's going to refer to himself as God's servant. There are those who say that it refers to the Mashiach. So a number of different understandings of the commentaries, and makes sense because, like we said about many of these prophecies, when are they supposed to happen? How are they supposed to happen? Right? We don't know so much of the stuff that Yeshayah gave prophecy and gave voice to in hope of better times for his people. Some of them seem to make sense when related to the time of Chizkiyahu, as we talked about, but many of these more dreamy, messianic type ones, unclear. Continuing pasuk bet, lo yitzak velo yisa velo yashmiya b'chutz kolo. He will not cry out or shout aloud or make his voice heard in the streets. Kaner ratzutz lo yishbor, upishta cheha lo yichabena. He shall not break even a bruised reed or snuff out a dim wick. According to many commentaries, this refers to the poor who are like a bruised reed, a broken, easy to break the reed. He's not going to break them. This king, this I shouldn't say king, this servant of God is going to help the poor, is going to help the downtrodden. Le'emet yotzi mishpat. He shall bring forth the truth. Lo yichev lo yarutz ad yasim ba'aretz mishpatu l'torato iyim yachelu. He will not grow dim or bruised until he establishes the true way on earth, until the Torah is known all the way to the coastlands will know his teachings. The word Torah, according to many, means teachings. There's some different understandings, interpretations, but right, so who is this referring to? Unclear, but again, Yeshayah, the Messiah, Cyrus, unclear, but some sort of beautiful visionary time. Continuing in Pasuk Hey, verse 5. Ko amar ha'el Adonai, borei ha'shamayim v'notehem, roka ha'aretz v'tze'atze'eha. Notei nishama la'am aleha v'ruach leholchim ba. This is what God, the Eternal One, says, the one who created the heavens and stretched them out, who spread out the earth and what it brings forth, right? Vegetation, the things that grow from the earth. Right, we know the roka haaretz alamayim. Right, we know these sort of phrases. God who gave breath to people on it and spirit to those who walk upon the earth. So, right, we're talking about God here. In a sense, this is going back to the God of creation. Ani Adonai kiraticha v'tzedek v'achazek biyadecha v'etzarcha v'etencha livrit am leor Goyim. I, God, in my grace have called you, have summoned you, and I have strengthened you with my hand. I created you and appointed you through a covenant to a light amongst the nation. And obviously, this is a very well-known phrase, or L'Goyim, a light amongst the nation. What does it mean for the Jewish people to be a light amongst the nation? It's obviously a major discussion amongst many types of thinkers, or those who don't like it, that means that the Jewish people are better and we're not better. We had this a couple chapters ago where God talks about the Jewish people as the Am HaNivchar, the chosen people. Others say no, light is there to light everybody else. God, all the people of the earth are God's people. It's just that God chose, like he did with Abraham, chose the Jewish people to help with the others. Doesn't mean in any way being better. Continuing in verse 7, but obviously that's a very important phrase, that phrase, or lagoyim. Lifkoach einayim ivrot lahotzi mi misker asir mi beit kela yoshvei choshech. What has to be done? Has to open the eyes of the blind, rescue prisoners from confinement, from the dungeon, those who sit in darkness. So how do the Jewish people play the role of or lagoyim? It's not by having the, learning the most Torah. Learning Torah is important, but that can't be the end goal. The end goal can't be just things that we particularly are doing ourselves, not by wearing 50 pairs of tzitzit. It's by rescuing prisoners, opening the eyes, feeding the hungry. We don't have mention here, but that would be in here as well. Ani Adonai hu shmi uchodi la'acher lo etein u'tihilati lafsi lim. I am God, this is my name, and I will not yield my glory to another, nor my renown to idols. So if I picked you, the Jewish people, as the Or LaGoyim, and you act properly, you're bringing justice to the earth, you're helping the poor, you're helping the downtrodden, you're making the blind see and feeding the hungry, then it will be known that God is the one who's giving glory. It's not going to be thought that it's an idol. It's not going to be thought of anybody else. Harishonot hinei va'u v'chadashot ani magid b'terem titzmachna ashmiya etchem. See, the things that I predicted have come true, and now I will foretell new things, announce to you a new thing that's going to sprout up. And what is that? And with that, he says, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, tihilato miktsei haaretz, yordei hayam umlo'o, iyim v'yoshvehem. So let's sing a new song to God, right? Let's sing a new song. Let's praise the earth from one end to the other. Those who sail the sea and the creatures in it, the coastlands and all the inhabitants. This new song is going to be for everyone. This new way, this new sort of world order where everybody is singing the praises of God, where it's going to benefit everyone. Yisu midbar va'arav, let the desert and its towns cry out. Chatzerein teisha kedar, the villagers where Kedar dwells. Yaronu yoshvei sela merosh harim yitzvachu. The Selah's inhabitants will shout. They will call out from the mountains. Yasimu ladonai kavod utilato ba'yim yagidu. Let them do honor to God and talk of God's glory all over. Adonai ki gibor yetzei ki ish milchamot ya'ir kinad. God goes forth like a warrior, with rage, like a fighter. Yaria af yatzriach al oevav yitgabar. Yelling, roaring, they charge upon the enemy. Hechesheti me'olam acharish et apak. I've kept silent, right? Cheresh, silent, a mute. I've kept silent for too long. I've restrained myself. Ki yoleda ef'eh esom ve'esh'af yachad. But now I will scream like a woman in labor. I will scream out, right? I'm meaning what? God is saying, according to the commentaries, I'm going to scream out that my temple was destroyed. I allowed it to happen. Yeah, according to many earlier chapters in Yeshayah, the Assyrians and the Babylonians were actually God's hand in the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, Batei Mikdash even, because of the Jewish people's bad behavior. And now he's saying, I'm going to scream out about it, and I'm going to do something about it. Achariv harim ugvaot v'chol espam ovish v'samti na'arot la'iyim va'agamim ovish. I will scorch hills and high places. All of their green, all of their lush places will wither. I will turn rivers into isles, right? The rivers will not be dried out. They'll look like just like a sand, and dry the marshes up. Sounds like the Western America in the 21st century, what it says in this verse. V'holachti ivrim bederech lo yadu b'netivot lo yadu ad richem. I will lead the blind by a road they did not know, and I will make them walk by paths that they never knew. And presumably this is referring to the Jewish people, who were, in a sense, they were blind towards God. You could say they were blind towards God because of their bad behavior. You could, sort of give a post-Soviet Jewry. They were blinded by the enemies of the Jewish people, who didn't let them practice their Jewish life. And God is now going to open up their eyes. Asim machshach lifnehem la'or u'ma'akashim lemishor ele hadvarim asitim velo azavtim. Right, I'll go turn the darkness before them into light. The rough places, the ground will be leveled. I am promising that this is what I'm going to do because I'm God. I will keep them without fail. Nasogu hachor yevoshu boshet habotchim bapasel. Omrim lamasecha tem Eloheinu. Driven back in shame will be those who trust in idols, who say to the idols, you are our gods. We saw this in the last chapters as well. Hachatper shim, shima'u, the havrim, habitu lirot. Listen, you are deaf, you blind ones, look up and see. Mi iver kim avdi v'cheresh k'malachi eshlach. Mi iver k'mishulam v'iver k'eved Adonai. Who is so blind as my servant, so deaf as the messenger I send? It's a difficult verse to understand what it means. Is God saying that, whether it's referring to, again, Cyrus or the Mashiach or Yeshayah himself, that he's blind? So what it's saying is the people are saying, according to many commentaries, that the messenger is blind. They won't listen to you. They don't listen to Yeshayah. They won't listen to Korah. Right? Most of the Jewish people don't return. They stay in Babylon. So who is so blind? Is what the way understood. Mi iver ki mishulam v'iver k'eved Adonai. Who is so blind as the chosen one, so blind as the servant of God. That's what they're saying. Ra'ot rabot v'lo tishmor pakoach haznaim v'lo yishma. They see many things, but they don't give no heed. They don't listen. With ears open, they hear nothing. Adonai chafetz leman sidko yagdil Torah v'ya'adir. Very obviously, very well-known, famous pasuk, right? God wants, he desires vindication. He wants righteousness. He wants Torah to be glorified. It's understood in different ways. To me, the understanding in this verse is God is trying to open up the eyes of those who don't see. God is trying to make them hear, even though they're not listening. God wants Yagdil Torah v'yadir. God wants that instruction, not just Torah the way we think of it, the study of Torah, but God wants that instruction, that proper behavior to be strengthened and to reach everyone. V'hu am bazuz v'shasui hafech bachurim kulam uvatei klayim hachba'u hayu lavaz v'ein matzil mishisa v'ein omer hashav. Yet it's a people who are plundered and despoiled. All of them are trapped in holes. They're imprisoned in dungeon. They're giving over to plunder with none to rescue them, to despoilment with none to say, give back. Right there, they're trapped. If you would only listen to this, give heed from now on. And it's hard when you're people who are suffering to listen to the words of a prophet who says that everything is going to be great. It's a very difficult thing to do. Who allowed the Jewish people to be struck down? Who allowed Israel's plunderers? Adonai zu chatanu lo v'lo avu b'drachav halok v'shamu b'torah v'lo shamu b'torato. It is God who allowed it because we sinned. We did not walk in God's ways. We did not follow God's teachings. We did not obey them. So I'm telling you, the bad things happened to us. The 10 tribes were exiled. We are under threat from Sancherev. We will be lost, right? Our people are just, temple's going to be destroyed. We're going to be in exile. But who allowed that? God. And we understand that. And then what will happen? V'yishpoch alav chema apo ve'azuz milchama v'tilateu misaviv v'lo yada v'tivar bo v'lo yasim alev. God will pour out his wrath, his anger, his fury of war upon them, right? It's like the paragraph we know towards the end of that. God is going to pour out the wrath, the anger, the fury that blazed upon them. They didn't listen, and it's going to hurt them. It burned amongst them, but they gave it no thought. So here God is trying to say to the Jewish people who should be in Or LaGoyim that they need to follow God's ways and helping the poor. You might say, how can we do it? We ourselves are suffering. And so Yeshayah tells the people, God is going to redeem you. Everybody's going to hear it. Your enemies will be gotten rid of. And then you have no excuse to not be the Or LaGoyim, to not be a light unto the nations, to not follow God's ways in creation. God created a world for people and gave the food and ways to the habitation, etc. You guys need to follow in that very same direction.